Hello, is this thing on? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's Look Sports Media. And it's time for a breakdown.
I love that bass line. It's great.
I was just going to say, after the events of, just generally, I feel like we might actually have a breakdown.
Yeah. It could be the day's breakdown just of the day, couldn't it?
I think this is my third breakdown of the day, to be fair.
I'm on 4, so I win.
I don't know what anyone's talking about. What have we got to break down about?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
No, it's all good. Everything's fine. Everything's normal. Nothing going
just
on.
A
normal day in League 2.
Just a normal day at Luke Sports Media. It's good.
It is. And there's a whole plethora of games on Saturday to talk about. We're done with the FA Cup. Back to League 2 action.
Back to league action. Back to things that we like.
My dream of watching Latics in Europe got distinguished after 90 minutes. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm gutted.
Such a shame. That is such a shame.
Who did you lose to, Aaron?
Newport.
I did know that.
That's why I said we were in Europe.
Mine was over in the qualifiers. We get knocked out by Chester.
We nearly got knocked out by Chester last year over 2 legs. We beat them on penalties and our fans went mental like we just won the FA Cup.
Knee slides, the whole lot.
We played Chester pre-season and it was that Sauce goal that was like the best goal of the season already in pre-season against Chester.
Right, so this is a question. Can it count as a goal of the season if it's in pre-season? Does that count?
That was the question, and the kind of general consensus was no, it probably shouldn't.
Nah, I wouldn't say a goal of the season can count from pre-season at all.
Unless somebody like Scorpion kicks it from like 45 yards.
That's true. So for those that are listening on Spotify later on, that aren't on YouTube, tonight on Breakdown, we have me, Grant, we have Hannah.
Oh, yeah.
Hannah's on that side.
I'm this way.
I get mixed up because the switched camera thing. Apart from here, down here, we have Aaron as well.
Oh.
He's down below me. Going to address the elephant in the room straight away. Comment that we've got, where's the chicken? Liam's not allowed on tonight. We're just not allowing Liam on tonight because he will say things that will get him in trouble. So
and get us into trouble as an organisation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, hello, everyone. So,
hello.
What are we going to talk about tonight? We've not really got a massive agenda. We can talk about the weekend's games coming up.
Yeah.
Aaron, you said something before we just cut off to come in here about talking about best chance that you've heard.
Yeah, so like
EFL
the funniest chance we've heard at EFL games.
I think that's a good one. So if anyone's got any chance that they've heard in EFL games that you want to just go through, fire them in the comments, or situations where it's happened, just fire them in the comments. And we can talk about them. And if anyone's got anything they want to bring up and discuss about the weekend coming up, or just anything that's going on, let's go.
I know we've done a lot of coverage on it, but is it worth mentioning how we think certain Graham Alexander will get on in his first game as Bradford?
Yeah, that feels like it was ages ago now. I know it was Sunday he was appointed. It was announced Sunday night. No, on Monday. Monday,
yeah. So I feel like there's been a whole week of games since he was announced.
Yeah.
It's been because usually you spoke about it on the podcast on Monday. I just feel because I was doing the National League one, I was like, geez, it feels like it's been longer than that.
Yeah, It really does. That feels like last week. I was about to say, no, they played whoever, and yeah. So they'll be looking for a new manager bounce against Barrow.
Third new manager bounce of the season.
Do you know what? It's a tough first game to come up against Barrow, I think. I always think they're a very well organised team, and so it's at home. It is at home as well. If Barrow score early, Bradford fans still aren't happy at the moment at all. You look through all of the Facebook comments, all the Twitter comments. There's still so much unrest, and Bradford fans, a lot of people are very, very split at the appointment on Graham Alexander.
We said this had happened before. I think that like whoever was appointed, they wouldn't be happy with, and or you know I
think it goes back to what we were talking about the other week on the podcast. Like, as much as it pains me to say, Bradford is such a massive club that they're always going to have so big expectations. So quite rightly, fans are allowed their opinions and to voice them expectations. But as soon as somebody doesn't hit them expectations straight away, like you practically done. Like, you see the way football is now. Like, you're done for in 6 games, really. Like, 7 games, 8 games. If you're not got a good start.
I don't think there was anyone that the fan base were kind of unilaterally happy with during the process either. I mean, obviously there was the whole Dave Bartel chat, and by the end of that, people were saying, "Oh, okay, I've come round to this." But there was absolutely no one that that Joey Barton was mentioned, the Cowleys were mentioned, and there was never someone that the fan base was suddenly behind and clamoring for. And I guess
I heard today that Scott Brown had also had 2 interviews as well for the position. I think he would have been met with the same reaction that all of the above.
I don't know why, but like Scott Brown, Joey Barton, and Bradford City, they all just seem to. I don't know. It just seems to match. One of them two with Bradford City seems to match.
But that's that 100. Scott Brown, I can tell you, 100% happened. Second interview. But yeah,
Look Sport Media exclusive.
It's definitely a Look Sport Media exclusive.
I tell you what though, because I'll be watching that game. Well, looking out for the result quite keenly, because I feel like the sort of child in the middle, because I've got a good relationship with Graham, and also Pete Wild give me some of the best, although it was very short tenure, give me some of the best moments in recent times as a Latics caretaker manager. So I've got a lot of respect and admiration for both of them. So it can end in a draw for me. Yeah,
some of the abuse that, I'll say Max, I'm sure he's not actually called Max, saying it's been aimed at Sparks, and that interview that Ryan Sparks gave talking about Alexander's appointment and just wasn't particularly well received.
What he said about Derek Adams was quite scathing, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I've still not seen it. I probably should have watched it before this. What was it that was said about Derek Adams?
He basically just, because obviously Derek Adams came out, didn't he, and said that he was like even though Bradford are a big club, like in nature, they were a very small club inside the club. That's basically what he said. So Sparks came out and said that Derek Adams had like one of the bigger Bradford budgets in recent times, and he fell well short, and he just feels like he was kind of like throwing his toys out the pram a little bit.
I mean, he did fall very, very short with them. For how good he can be, it just didn't seem to work with Bradford. And this has just seemed to be numerous managers that it's happened with. It happened. I think I was quite vocal about what I thought would happen under Mark Hughes all last season. I said if he doesn't get automatic playoffs, he'll get sacked, because the fans will start to turn on him. And they got into the playoffs, and I think if they went up through the playoffs, no one would have argued. But I think I was very much point proven that because they didn't go up automatically, the fallout of that is that he was sacked and the pressure was turned up this season. and whoever the new manager would have been, turns out now to be Graham Alexander, has a hard job on their hands to try and unify the fan base and get them to rally and try and push. Again, I feel like anything less than playoffs isn't going to be accepted by the Bradford fans this season, even though they've had a slow start to the season.
And I've tried to tell Bradford fans, like from obviously my experience, Charlie mainly, that with I hope it works with Graham for Bradford, because I don't think he'll mind me saying this. He doesn't play the sort of sexiest football that everyone wants the teams to play nowadays, but he does play effective football, and you have to look at his CV, and that shows. So I think if the fans are Bradford fans are willing to sort of sacrifice the like tick-a-tacker like football for long-term success and a shot of promotion, they'll do well. But if they want like champagne football and results, I don't know whether it's going to work. So it will be an interesting one. Definitely.
It's like try to play champagne football with a Cava budget, isn't it? Really,
right? And that's the thing. I mean, they're in 16th at the moment, 20 points. They're on a goal difference of -4, in exactly the same position as Walsall. They've got Donny on 20 as well. And then again, we've had this all season though. It's so congested. So like Mansfield on 29 are in 4th. That it's 3 wins difference. But likewise, 10 points below, you've got Tranmere and Sutton who are propping up the table. So I think whatever change, if Alexander's making significant changes, then they need to be done quickly, and it needs to be an effective transfer window. And if Jake Young's coming back, do they try and get Dan Kemp as well, given that they've worked well together? Was talking to what was it on? Rich from the Low Stranger podcast on the county, on the Scarf Bagara War. Scarf Bagara War last night. And he was saying that he thought that Jake Young would go back, and he thought that Kemp, maybe Milton Keynes, oh my God, it's all going wrong. MK Dons would not necessarily be bothered about having him back, but that they couldn't afford him. Which, for Bradford would be an opportunity potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like Dan Kemp's probably going to leave MK. And
I'd be quite interested to see whether he uses any of his like Salford links. I can't really think of anyone, but I don't know. I'd be surprised if he didn't try and tap up some of the players that he'd like brought in and got playing under him at Salford.
Get a good question.
Liam's saying top by Christmas.
I mean, I don't think you're going to top Stockport by Christmas anyway. So,
I mean, let's not jinx anything, please.
Stockport are still going to be like continuing this crazy winning streak that they're on by Christmas.
Well, we're going to get dicked on by Swindon on Saturday, aren't we? That's how it has to go.
I don't know. I think these have to be up for the fight with Swindon.
Like I said, as an Oldham fan, so my very first ever Latics game when I was 8 years old was Oldham versus Stockport in League One at Boundary Park.
Oh, that's it.
So it really sort of like it upsets me to see how well County are doing compared to where we are. Like, but also the sort of the just general football fan in me appreciates where Stockport are, because that you've had hard times as well, and like your fan base deserve it. I think the County's fans are probably one of the best set of fans I've seen. So yeah, like there's a part of me that like resents you, but there's a part of me that also really respects you.
Thanks for getting that off your chest.
So yeah.
No, I think on Saturday, given our form, it would be a proper shock. But I said, obviously, Swindon played Colchester on Tuesday night. They lost 3-1. I think they went 1-0 up originally, didn't they? And then conceded 3. But they, County will have been rested well. Obviously, a lot of the first team or first choice didn't start against Worksop. They had, a few. Ian said, "We're on Football Focus on Saturday. The run is over." Yeah, that's it. It would just be very County to lose at Swindon on Saturday.
The thing is, I know it's very cliche to say, but we learned this the hard way when we went to Field a couple of weeks ago. A run has to end somewhere, and you know what I mean. In some ways, I'd rather get it out of the way and end it before it goes, like before you start getting like so far ahead of yourself. You know what I mean? If you go like 20 on the trot and you think you're never going to be beat again, and then it happens, it's going to work.
I know.
You know what I mean?
We've got Bolton on Tuesday in the whatever it's called, the Bristol Street Motors Cup, and I can see it ending then. And I'm kind of okay with that because then we've still got the league run, so you get a bit of humility, but then it's you can just say, oh well, we're still unbeaten in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Just going to move on to Ian's question that we've got came in for you both.
Uh-huh.
So, question for the hosts and those also in the chat, Ian being inclusive to those in the chat as well. What is the greatest
I met Ian
moment
on Saturday? It was very exciting.
What is the greatest moment you've seen live in your club's history? Aaron, you want to take that one first?
Yeah, so I've got 3, and I'll rank them, I reckon. So third, I will go. We were playing Peterborough in 2014-15 season in League One, and we were 3-0 down at half time, and we won the game 5-4. And Eric Kasunga, who was probably one of the worst centre halves I've ever seen in a Latics shirt, in my opinion, scored a 96-minute winner and jumped in the home end, and I just remember the absolute scene. So that is third. Second for me is when we beat Fulham at Craven Cottage in the FA Cup, because that the lead up to that game we had. So basically, Peter Clark, who I can't. The amount of love I have for Peter Clark is absolutely ridiculous. But so in the lead up to that game, he pulled his hamstring, or I think it might have been a pulled quad or whatever, and he played that game against Fulham with a pulled quad, and he was an absolute mammoth in defence. It was ridiculous, and then obviously we won 2-1, and I'll always remember Tom Kearney, the little snake, absolutely diving over a Chris Missalou tackle in the box. And that this was like the first season of VAR as well, and I think we had Bobby Madley refereeing, or Robert Madley, one of them, and he went over and gave it, and it was never a penalty. Yeah, so probably beating them in the FA Cup. But then number one, I don't think anyone can argue, is probably beating a Liverpool side with Suarez, Sturridge, Gerrard, like Sterling on the pitch. That Matt Smith for that FA Cup run alone goes into Oldham Athletic folklore for me, because I'll be honest with Smith. I'll be honest about Smith a second. He was pretty. If you look at his league goals for us, he was pretty terrible. But there was something about the FA Cup that just turned him into an absolute. He was just an absolute unit for us in the FA Cup. So yeah, beating Liverpool and doing it in the snow as well. That was quite insane. And I remember he retired Seb Quartes on the spot that day, Matt Smith. So yeah, that was a great day. So yeah, they're my top 3.
What about you, Hannah?
I'm excited that we've moved on to a top 3, because and Ian's got a top 3 as well. So I'm just embracing the top 3. So I've got one is actually 2 of mine are the same as Ian's. So it is. So the win over Halifax to go back into the EFL was like properly. It was just really emotional. I wasn't stuck with my dad. I was with a complete stranger and 2 lads, because a lad at County had got me a ticket because I'd missed them because I was away on holiday. And it was, there was a massive pitch invasion. And you can see that, like on the videos, you can see a throng of people running, and I was running across them because my dad was in the other stand. So, like, just to get to my dad. And I think because we'd been out of the league for 11 years, it was just such a big day, and it had been such a long time coming, and there'd been, you know, the ups and downs going into it. So that was the first one. The second one is the same as Ian's, that the Bolton comeback. So that was 21-22, same season. And we were, I think, 3-1 down at half time. And then it was, you know, it was just one of those where you just sat there watching goals go in. And we ended up winning 5-3. There were proper scenes. The corner flag was stolen. There were players lost their shirts when the last goal went in. So I think we were in extra time. I think it was 3-3 at full time. Just absolutely the best game of football and the best level of comeback I've ever seen. And then my third one is from 1994. And it was Stockport County in the FA Cup against QPR. And at the time, QPR were in the first tier, County were in the third. And we went one down. And then my favourite players as a kid were Kevin Francis and Andy Preece. And both of them scored. The pitch was like a beach. Because it was so wet, it had so much sand on it. But we were with my dad's mate, who's a QPR fan. And it was just the best thing. You know, I think at that, I guess, I don't even know how old I was then. But it just felt like a proper giant killing. And it was a result that, you know, was in all the papers. And it was, I think it was probably the game that I fell in love with Stockport County.
Are you on mute? I think you're on mute then.
I don't even know how that happened. There we go. It was my actual microphone as well. My top three: Hartlepool v Grimsby, last away game of the season. Grimsby v Carlisle, last away game of the season. When we all done fancy dressed up as Rastafarians. It was great.
It was fine.
It was part of the Great Escape season. When we'd stayed up by the skin of our teeth, and last away game was against Carlisle. Carlisle they've made it this massive rivalry, and we went 3-0 down in the first half, and Ronnie Moore must have gave them an absolute bollocking. Yeah, he was some manager for us.
What a man!
So he must have gave them an absolute bollocking at half time. They came out. But we were just having a party, even though we were 3-0 down, because we knew we were safe. And everyone was singing Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. And we were just having a whale of a time. And the atmosphere seemed to rub off on the players. And they scored 3 in the second half, and we ended up being 3 each. And it was just a great, great game of football. Second for me, and this is only second because we didn't win, playoff final and League One against Sheffield Wednesday. Just the atmosphere of so many Pools fans going down to the Millennium Stadium for that game was great. I still stand by the fact that we were absolutely robbed in that game. The red card should never have been a red card. It resulted in a penalty. And it was a shocking decision from the referee. And if we'd have went up that day, the whole history of what's happened with the club now wouldn't be happening. So people keep wondering why I don't like Sheffield Wednesday, and that is the exact reason why. There's actually a really good podcast on Switch. It's called Switch a Play. It's the ex-Hartlepool and Barrow media guy, Mark Simpson, that runs it, and he's done an interview with the chairman, Ken Hodcroft, of Hartlepool at that time. And he talks about how he received, when he went back to his office on the Monday after that game, there was a letter sitting there on his desk, and it was saying that the referee's going to do you over. And it was dated pre-match, and it was sent by first class. So he's like, I don't know how I've received this now on the Monday, but if it came in on the Friday, he says, I would have done something about it. But he claims there's some sort of conspiracy happened on it, which is, I don't know if I believe it or not, but what happens. Football is football, and there's bad decisions. Top one for me has to be Darlington away 2007. At their brand new stadium. So the first time we went there, there was more Hartlepool fans than Darlington fans. That's our massive rivals. We run a 21 match unbeaten run. Darlington were on a 14 match unbeaten run. We were going in top of the league, and we absolutely destroyed them. Effie Williams had the best game he's ever had for us. Scored a brace. His second goal was phenomenal. Yeah, that is the best day as a Pools fan that I've had. Good question, Ian. I like it.
Yeah.
Good question.
There's another question here, a slightly more optimistic question, I think, from my point of view. Anyway, it says, if Oldham, Hartlepool, and Stockport go up this season, I know some of this is unlikely. Do you think you will all survive, or do you think any of you will go straight back down? Now, I'll kick off as a Latics fan. I think if we can get into the playoffs this season and win the playoffs and go up that way, because let's be honest, Barnet could do it, but we're definitely not going to nobody below Barnet is going to catch Chesterfield. So yeah, but I think for us it depends if you mean like playing side or like financially secure side, because now with Frank, we've got the foundations to be an EFL club again and do it quite comfortably, you'd imagine. But we'd have to get better at the recruitment side of things than we have done for the last 2 years. But if you was asking me a yes or no straight out, I would say I think we'd comfortably survive in League Two if we were to go up this season. But I don't think we will go up this year. I think we're probably about 16 months away from where Chesterfield are now, and that's quite sad. But considering we were the second favourites to go up this year, but I just think, because we put our faith into a novice manager for the first 10, 11 games, whatever it was, that kind of ruined us a little bit. And I think Mellon kind of got a little bit of a, I wouldn't say rude awakening, but we've got a very good squad, Oldham, but there's so many gaps that need plugging. Like there's so many weak areas, you know what I mean? You've got James Norwood, you've got people like that, you've got Charlie Raglan at the back, like really good quality, but you've also got some really, really poor players.
Like Mike Fondop.
Listen, no Mikey slander on this program. I will walk out this studio right now.
If you walk out the studio, I'm amazed.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's 1-1 now. It's 1-1. You know what though, right? Don't get me started on Mike Fondop, because I will stick up for him to the hills, mate. I think
I love Mike.
Probably behind James Norwood. I think he's probably one of our better strikers, and we've got 6 of them, so that's saying something. But yeah. So anyway, going back to the question, financially, I think we would do, but we'd have to recruit well to do it. So yeah, that's what I think.
From a Hartlepool point of view, I think we would struggle. I think if we went back up, we would definitely struggle in League Two straight away with our current owner in place. Enough said.
And that's all I've got to say about that. Ryan said as well that we none of us can get promoted because we all need to stay in our leagues because it helps him with podcast organisation, which seems fair. I'll let the lads know.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If you said stay in the National League to do a podcast or watch Latics go up to League Two, I appreciate you guys, but I think I'm taking League Two any day, to be honest.
I think that we would be fine. I think the jump from National League to the EFL was significant, but the squad depth that we've got now is impressive. Tom Williams had done a really nice article. I think it's only available on his Patreon at the moment, but talking about how Stockport's squad is kind of unsurpassed in League Two, and that exemplifies the investment from, both from an ownership point of view, but also, people like Simon Wilson and the work that they've done to build the squad. I think we would have to do what Stevenage have done. Stevenage were have not kind of rested on their laurels. They've recruited, they've strengthened in a way that Carlisle, Northampton, Leyton Orient haven't done to the same degree. And I think they probably recognise that they need to make some reinforcements in January. So yeah, I think if we did Stevenage and picked up where we might be a little bit weaker, but honestly, as things stand at the moment, given that we've got people out with ACLs and long-term injuries, both Stretton and Rydell, we are in a good position going forward and would be in a good position next year. And this is in a League Two, which we were everyone was dreading League Two this year.
Yeah.
And granted, it's November, and no eggs are being counted, no chickens have been hatched, or whatever cliche
are you just making up like chalisms here?
I mean, yes, I'm aiming for the. Do you know what? I've not voted today. I've not even seen what the options are in the.
Oh, it's a cracker today. My favourite one today that I voted for was it was two very average teams, but we were better. That's my favourite. My favourite ever.
It's two very average teams, but one was clearly better than the other.
Yeah, I liked the giraffe twerking yesterday. I think that was a strong entrant, as evidenced by the share of the votes that it got.
I'm waiting for Incognito to come up. As soon as Incognito comes up, I think everyone needs to spam it. For me,
it's not going to win though. It's in a group of something else that's massive. I can't even remember what it is.
If it wins the full Challenger, I've said I'm going streaking around my street. And I'll record it. I'll record me streaking around my street.
As a sponsor, I'm not entirely sure that we are allowed to comment on, what we want to win. Because there'll be, biases and stuff. Well, yeah, because I was really excited because there was one from the 606 that we've done on a Sunday night. Like that was round A. I was very excited.
I think that's either Liam or Ryan has put up here. Christ, no one vote for that if Grant's going to be streaking.
I think it's Liam. Louis Barry is a big miss, but we've proved since that, obviously, I think he served a purpose in that he was banging goals in when Kyle Wootton wasn't quite ready to come back, and I think a really strong Kyle Wootton, you can see how much stronger he is physically, is a wonderful thing. And we can all hope that Louis goes away and has his hamstring, or he's had his hamstring surgery, and he comes back to us to finish the season off, which is something that, people weren't necessarily expecting, because they expected him to be recalled by Villa in January and then sent out somewhere else. So that would be nice.
Yeah. I like this question in the chat as well. It says, question for the wholesome people in the chat. If you could remove one goal scored against your football club in your football club's history, what would it be and why?
For me, mine's got to be that penalty at the playoff final that I said. It's got to be. Because if that didn't go in, we would have went on to win the playoff final.
Yeah, so Carlisle's equaliser against us at Wembley.
For me, this is fairly obvious. It led to one of only 2 times where I physically cried at a football match. Northampton away in the season that Joey Thompson scored for Rochdale to keep them up but send us down. A Sam Hoskins second goal, because we had Johnny Placide play for us, and he's a cult legend in his own right. He used to do Cruyff turns on his own box. Everything, absolute madman. But he just had weaker wrists than me and just decided to let the ball go through his hands. And ultimately that's what led to our demise to League Two. So I would probably say Sam Hoskins' second goal on the day we got relegated at Northampton, which was a really weird day actually, because you were so emotional and so angry, but then even though it was Rochdale, as soon as you hear that it's Joey Thompson that got the goal, you know what I mean? You can't be angry at that with what that man's gone through and gone on to achieve. Like, so it was a really weird vibe in the stadium because everyone got it on the phones, and then you seen the goal scorer and you was kind of like, well, shit, I don't want to be angry at that. So yeah, it was a weird one. It was a weird one.
I remember when we went down the first time to the National League, it was horrific. We were playing Doncaster at home, and we actually beat Doncaster, but I think it was Newport were just above us, and they were the other team that were in danger to go down, and they won their game to stay up, and you just heard everyone in the stadium like going, "Oh, Newport are down, Newport are the one down," and everyone's like shouting the players on, going, "Newport are one down, keep pushing." And you see it giving them a boost, then the equaliser goes down, and you're like, "Oh no!" But then someone put a fake shout out saying that Newport had went down again, and everyone built themselves back up, and then everyone was looking at flash scores and like, "No!" And then Newport scored in like the 90-something minute, and the whole place just went flat. And it's like you said, I think it's one of the only times I've ever cried at a football stadium. The other time was the Great Escape season. I was listening to the game in my car when we stayed up. I think we played Chesterfield, I think it was, when we stayed up like just before the Carlisle game, and I was just in tears that we'd stayed up. And then eventually down.
So the second time I cried at a football game was internationally, and it was when England lost in the Euro final. Now Grant was probably crying with happy tears.
You know what? I've got nothing bad to say about the England international team at all.
It was just, it was a bad day. It was a bad day, and it got me thinking. Actually, this is not specifically for the EFL, but I was having this chat with Charlie last night, and we were having a really healthy debate about it. And I'd be interested what the audience thought and what we thought. So you can only pick one. Your club team goes back-to-back promotions, or your international side wins the next 3 international tournaments on the spin. What are you picking and why? Now, for me, I know we're EFL, and this might disappoint a lot of people, but I'm choosing England every day of the week. Genuinely, hand on heart, I'm choosing my country because right, I feel like when international tournaments come around, the whole country gets around it. You're in the pubs, you're hugging random strangers that you don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's a different vibe. Whereas if Oldham went off, of course I'd be over the moon. I'd be crying. But only the Oldham fans you can share that with. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a bigger triumph, and it's a bigger space if your country went and won the World Cup and the Euros back to back.
Liam says, I don't care for random strangers and I hate hugs, which is valid. But I feel like I get that at county. Like, no, for me, county's like my family. I don't, I'm 100% club. I mean, I watch the internationals, but I don't get as invested in them. I've not cried at football since like Italia 90, which is clearly showing my age, but we're fine with that. I think with country to a certain extent as well, there's always this kind of sense of like expectation, like you kind of know that it's all just going to end in tears anyway. Like that we've not had the kind of the same success.
You're fucking telling me.
And I'm not so invested in the players or their lives. I think with the EFL it's really different as well in that those players play well.
Grant's biggest achievement watching Scotland in recent times was getting a 0-0 at Wembley in the Euros.
Yeah. That was a good game. That was, by the way, you see, as far as 0-0s go, that was a decent game of football.
It was, yeah, it was.
It was a really good game of football, and
the thing is, I'm quite on my own here. I'm quite a lone wolf with this opinion, but I'm okay. I'm okay with that because I'm comfortable with my opinion.
It's good to have strong opinions.
And do you know what? I find this question a lot harder. And I'm very, very on the fence of it. I'd love back-to-back winning the league. But I'd also love the 3 international tournaments because I support a club that's never, ever won a trophy. Ever. And I I'm from a country who's never get past the group stages of an international tournament. So to be able to even get to that stage, it would be like a party. Like the atmosphere at Scotland game, I think, is unrivaled. It's crazy in the bars, everything. If Scotland got to the World Cup final, everyone would need to take a week off work, maybe a month off work.
I don't think we'd ever see you again, to be fair, Graham.
I don't think I'd ever see myself. My liver would go into overdrive and I'd probably have a heart attack and die. But if Pools won the league, it would just be special. Even just one win of the league would just be so special. But for me, it would have to be not National League. It would need to be back-to-back League Two, League One. Winning the National League, it's a trophy. I just want to get out of this league. So if we're in League Two, I would say back-to-back leagues. That would feel special. If we're talking not in League Two and we're in National, I'd go the 3 internationals.
And I think also, just to finish up on this, I think for me, just what edges internationals for me is the fact that we have to wait, every 2 years or every 4 years for an international tournament to come around. So for me, it feels like more of a sort of outsider's chance. Like, I don't know how many. Well, I was going to say I don't know how many World Cups I watched, but that sounds quite morbid. But you know what I mean? I don't. You watch more league football in your life than you do international football, and that's because of the wait and because of the wait for tournaments. So I just think it'd be more sort of like I was there moment. You know what I mean?
And you'd be talking total dominance of world football for an 8-year period as well. So you'd be talking 2 World Cups and 1 Euro essentially that we're looking at here in a row. I don't think it's that bad a debate, to be fair. Who said it was someone said it was a rubbish debate. I quite like that.
Sorry, I'll get better at my questions. Whoever said that?
Has anyone fired in any chants yet that we've had? Like their favourite chants that we've heard? I'll go in with one of my favourite chants, not necessarily that I've heard. It was Liam that said it was a stupid argument.
Well, Liam doesn't know his arse from his elbow, so I won't take much notice in that one, to be fair.
One of my favourite chants that I've heard at a game, I wasn't there, but just there's only 2 Andy Gorhams. Because Andy Gorham had schizophrenia. And all of the fans at games said there's only 2 Andy Gorhams. 2 Andy Gorhams. That was brilliant. That is my favourite chant of all time.
If we're going down that route, it makes me feel a bit better about mine, to be fair. It was just before the Rochdale game recently, and we were in the pubs. We'd taken over the Rochdale pubs, and there was a guy in the Regal Moon in Rochdale with a Sunderland shirt on.
Is this the same pub where they done? Was it Rochdale where they done the Jaeger challenge?
Yeah, for away fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it that pub?
Yeah, that same pub. And it was very simple, but the whole like Oldham section of the pub a poor guy walked in with a Sunderland shirt on, and we just all started chanting, "Adam Johnson, is that you?" At this poor Sunderland fan, so much to the point where he put his coat back on and zipped his coat back up to get rid of his Sunderland shirt. I just think it was just like the timing of it and just the way it was. That's probably the funniest I've heard in a while, to be honest, because he did have a bit of a striking resemblance of Adam Johnson, if I'm being honest.
Have you got one, Hannah?
I wouldn't say it's the favourite one, but it made me laugh, and I apologise in advance, Stace. When we were 5-1 up against Workstop on Saturday, there was "Are you Wrexham? Are you Wrexham? Are you Wrexham in disguise?" And then someone shouted back, "No, they're better than Wrexham because they've scored," and it just made me laugh. But my other the other one I really like is football in the library, and then because we're right next to where the away fans are, you've never seen a library always makes me laugh. Just
the one inside the stadium that always gets me every time I see it is Lionel John Lewis, named after a shot. I think that's brilliant. But yeah, I don't. I appreciate Charlie's effort here, but I don't really think that that's as catchy as we can get, to be honest.
Let's not invite amendments to it because
we've got to include the disability in there somewhere. Not a Bradford one, but City one. A City one, the what? The Peak. I'm guessing it means the league.
Dear, he can't. It's because his chicken hands. He can't type well.
And we've also got James Hansen, Chance legendary. He used to work at the Co-op. I don't know how that goes. Does anyone know how that goes?
No,
he used to work at the Co-op. Is it just like that? Who's mucking about with our presentation?
Why have I been?
Here?
I'm not singing. You can unspotlight me, chicken.
Liam's. This is what happens when Liam's not allowed on. He just decides to start mucking about with things. But I done it last week, and I started putting little tickers across the bottom, so I suppose I can forgive him for that.
Don't. Oh, come on, Grant! Don't give him ideas. He's like Casper the Friendly Ghost at the moment, and we don't really want to invoke him further.
What games are we looking forward to this weekend?
Swindon.
No comment.
Are
you going, Hannah?
Yes.
Are you excited or are you nervous to be going?
She's asked to borrow one of my spare wheelchairs as a disguise.
No, I'm fine. It's fine. They're the lyrics to the James Hansen song, apparently.
Yeah, we've got a member of our team that's got a disguise we can give you. It's the glassy nose and the mustache.
I think it'll be fine. It's fine. It's fine. Looking forward to my afternoon in the Arkles.
Just looking at the fixtures of other games I'm looking forward to this weekend. I am looking weirdly forward to this Tranmere v Forest Green.
Yeah.
I think that's a big bottom of the table clash. It's a 6-pointer, and I know it's still fairly early in the season, but I think that's got 6-pointer in all over it.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see whether Tranmere, Nigel Adkins was a very underwhelming permanent appointment, but we've talked through on the podcast the reasons why that might have happened. It will be interesting to see whether there is, I don't know, whether he feels like he's got the autonomy to make decisions that he maybe didn't have before, and whether they change because they've got to do something, and it's unlikely, I'd imagine, that they'll be able to do anything really dramatic in the transfer window. So they've got to play their way out of who they've got.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so, but I think it's definitely a winnable game that they've got this weekend against Forest. Against Forest Green. Forest Green struggled against Scarborough. They only managed to secure a replay by the skin of their teeth in the FA Cup, scoring 90 plus 3. Yeah. And then they get beat by Brighton under 21s in the. I'm still going to call it the Pizza Cup because that's what it is to me. They get beat by Brighton under 21s in the Pizza Cup, and they've other than that.
But saying that, FGR are 15th in the form table versus Tranmere, who were rock bottom on 24th. So Tranmere haven't won since they beat Bradford. That's that fateful night. But they've lost to Stockport, they've lost to Morecambe, they've lost to Doncaster, they've lost to Crewe, all of whom are in the top 7 in terms of the form over the last 6 games. So they've been playing on form teams, whereas who have Forest Green Rovers had? They beat Crawley, they lost to Barrow, they beat Colchester 5-0. Lost to Accrington Stanley, lost to Stockport, lost to Morecambe. So they're a bit more consistent. But again, it's down to the fixtures they've had.
Yep.
You know, one thing we haven't touched upon, and maybe it's been touched on the podcast this week, but Liam Manning and that whole situation. Now, to to me, I get it because it's Championship and Bristol City are a big club, so I get it. There's potential there. But if I'm an Oxford, if I'm an Oxford fan, I'm really, really sour because he was building something really, really special there, and I don't know. I just think he's kind of like he's used them as a stepping stone, and he's kind of like, oh, I've done what I needed to do here. I've proven myself. Fuck you. I'm going. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
he's got Oxford up to second. The start that they've had to the season's been phenomenal. And especially with how poor they were last season, they were fighting till pretty much the last few games of the season to stay up.
Remember when they signed Ruben Rodriguez? Though there was that whole chatter about they're going to come from behind. Someone said in the chat earlier on that they've been looking at Luke Williams, which would be an interesting one. I know that he was approached for roles in League One last season and didn't go for them. But Liam Manning, I don't know, from a professional point of view as well, I think maybe it was just too good to turn down. That's probably the answer. It would have been, really impressive for him to get promotion with Oxford this season.
Massively impressive.
But then now there's a chance that he's going to be playing Oxford next year. You know what I mean? So like, he could have just done it with Oxford. I don't know.
Say when you seen your man, what was his name when he left Forest Green after they won the league and he went to Watford?
Rob Edwards.
Yeah, you seen Rob Edwards jump up from League Two to the Premier. It was insanity. Yeah. And that's, for me, is had a knock-on effect on Forest Green's seasons.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. And for Luke Williams as well, I think he's an interesting kind of character. And I don't know, I think his loyalty lies with Notts County. And again, he'll be looking for that. He wants to take them to League One as opposed to jumping, but watch me be proved wrong within the space of a week.
I genuinely can't see him leaving Notts County. I really can't. I think he's there for the long haul. He's going to see them get promoted this season into League One. He's going to try and build them into League One and try and build them into a Championship team. I think he is there for the long haul.
Yep.
But then nothing surprises me in football nowadays because it is true what they say. I know it's very cliche, but there isn't loyalty in football anymore, is there? Like,
it's all money.
Yeah, so who knows?
There's the exception of like Matt Gray at Sutton. Whenever you talk about him leaving, it always comes back to no, he's still got so much goodwill in the bank. But like with oh gosh, who was it at Grimsby? What's he called? The manager that's just been sacked.
Paul
Hurst.
Yeah, like eventually that goodwill runs out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a great article on Look Sports Media talking about an interview that he gave this week about how you should never go back. And I think
we should have learned that with John Sheridan, but he still came back for a 15th time.
Yeah, I fully expect if Graham Alexander doesn't do well at Bradford, you're going to see McCall come back again, aren't you, at Bradford?
To
break glass in case of emergency, and he just comes out.
So
it's like Bublé coming out at Christmas, isn't it?
This has been mentioned today about is it Birmingham looking at Elliot Lee? I think anyone playing like him is going to attract attention. They've obviously lost Stephen Fletcher to, medium to an injury, I think. But Wrexham will be looking. Do they go back? I don't know what the situation is, but do they go back to Luke Armstrong? He's only just starting again. It'd be interesting to see what happens there.
Also, though, I think that's got an interesting subplot to it because you've got Hollywood versus Hollywood. Well, not Hollywood, but you've got obviously the Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney and Tom Brady, haven't you?
Yeah.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall in them business meetings.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know how much Brady's got to do with it. Like, I mean, obviously the face of it, but yeah, maybe he's, I don't know.
I think the ship has sailed with the Armstrong deal, though. I don't think they'll go back to them, and I think even if they did, yeah, I can't see them revisiting it. The money's not going to be the same.
I know he's not the same player, is he?
I don't think he's not the same player because for me, there's no doubt in Luke Armstrong's ability. He's phenomenal. I think his head is down after everything that's went on, and I don't think his heart's in it with Harrogate this season. How they've continued to perform all right.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Really, yeah. He's not been as impressive on the pitch as he was kind of coming. And yes, you're entirely right. Well, he hasn't had the game time, but also, you know, I remember Simon Weaver talking immediately afterwards about kind of how hard he'd been hit by it, and he'd made plans, and they've been him and his girlfriend or partner have been looking at houses, and it's cruel. Like we said at the time, it's like it was unbelievably cruel what happened.
I think clubs that should be looking at him. Mansfield should be looking at him straight away. Mansfield are still screaming out for a striker. Gillingham should be looking at him. They are screaming out for a player and a goal scorer. The two of those clubs, I think if Mansfield get him, that changes Mansfield to being, for me, an absolute top contender in the league.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing, that they've got lots of different goal scorers, but they don't have a focal point for me. If they were to get Armstrong, that would just be the cherry and the ice in the cake. Him and Rhys Oates are a phenomenal partnership. And if he went to Gillingham, it gives them that player that they need and they've wanted. Because they've chased striker after striker and missed striker after striker. I can't see them not backing the manager and trying to get someone else in that's going to score goals, because they are still lacking at the front.
Yeah.
You can have Joe Nuttall.
No, Jamie.
Jamie, no, I don't think Swindon will get him. Swindon do not have the budget categorically to get Luke Armstrong.
No. I think I'm particularly interested this weekend as well about how Mansfield react. So they've got, and they're still unbeaten in the league, and they are, I don't know, let's see, in form 5th, 3 wins on the trot. Beat Notts County, beat Harrogate, beat Walsall, but they're going into the game with Salford on Saturday, having lost to Port Vale and then losing to Wrexham on Saturday in the FA Cup. I think it'll be interesting to see how they
respond. And then losing to Everton as well.
Oh, did they? Oh, I missed that as well. Was that
lost
another
to Everton Pizza
Cup? Right. Well, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how that affects their trajectory. Salford, though, are still, I mean, they've turned a corner as well. They've not lost since Wrexham in the league, and what have they got? 3 wins, 2 draws and a loss. The Wrexham one. Drawing with Barrow, they beat. I mean, there's that weird game with Crewe, which you can't really call out as any kind of benchmark. But they're certainly looking to crack on as well, and they're out of the Pizza Cup, so laser focused on the league, and they've got the replay with Peterborough on Tuesday in the FA Cup.
It's weird because I'd say this is a big game for Mansfield because they're coming off the back of 3 defeats in the cup. I know when we've been speaking to a couple of Mansfield fans, they've said, yeah, we would take a loss in the cup as our first loss of the season.
Yeah,
but to lose 3 times on the bounce can have a bit of an impact on momentum, and one of those is to a League Two. One of those is to a League Two team. We can't take that away from the fact that it was an FA Cup game. It's still a League Two team. I expect them to get beat by Port Vale. I think they expected to get beat by Port Vale as well. But yeah, Wrexham will be a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Who's we're still on this run of crazy hat tricks being scored in League Two. That run has still not come to an end.
Yeah, no. Kyle Wootton scored 4 on Saturday.
Scored 4. Unreal.
What?
Where's
really?
the
That's the first time you mentioned it all week.
Oh, well, but it's nearly time. You see, the thing is, like with anything like this, it feels like a finite time, and Thursday night breakdowns my last chance before it becomes about, I don't know, Jake Young or Sting Tilly or whoever else has scored a hat trick at the weekend. So
Tilly, you're talking about Liam's dog scoring a hat trick.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say James Norwood's gonna score an hat trick against Eastleigh at home on Saturday. Mark my words.
All right. Good.
Mickey Mellon's tricky takes her on the charge. I'm telling you.
Oh.
Where's the League Two hat trick coming from this week, and who is it coming from?
Matt Smith.
No,
another Matt Smith one. No. Another one.
No, they're not. They're not going to put 3 past Mansfield. I don't think that's got 1-0 or 1 goal written all over it.
By the way, if on Sunday, if Matt Smith scores an hat trick and Salford meet Mansfield, can somebody check on me to make sure I put a bet on it, please?
Yeah. Who else? It's got to be Tanto or what, hasn't it, against Swindon?
Do you know what you mentioned, Mike? Did someone mention Mickey Mellon? Michael Mellon. Could be
Michael Mellon.
Michael Mellon. Morecambe are playing Grimsby at Grimsby this week. I know there'll be the sacked manager situation going on here, but that could be where it pops up.
Yeah, and Morecambe are properly in form, as are Accrington Stanley, who were at Crawley. Crawley is erratic as anything, so anything could happen there.
Crawley on the slippery slope down. I think Liam said that a little while ago. He's just going to see them dropping down this table. They need to fuck up.
We're going to be in January soon, so you know what that means for Crawley's transfer policy. They'll just take to Twitter and be like, "Which one of these players do you want to sign?"
Or they'll just send some more to Gillingham.
They'll just go out and they'll sign some more YouTubers again.
yeah, we've been scouting at the Clash for Creators.
Do we count as this now? We're on YouTube. Can we be signed by Crawley?
I mean, stick me as centre half, and I can get up at the edges. You see, because my chair goes up and down. So stick me at the back post. I'm solid. I'm telling you.
Have you got like an ejector seat button? We can stick you in goals.
Yeah, and I've got my chair can tilt up and down as well, so I can get the trajectory of a goal line clearance. You know what I mean? And I'm quicker than most footballers on a football pitch as well. So
you just get a speed boost, get the nitrous oxide on, and that's you going. I'm just going to bring a comment up that's come in, just to address it. So it's came in by FIFA FC. What's your thoughts on the stuff that's come out in Swindon today? Unfortunately, we are not allowed to comment on any further on the situation that's come out from Swindon today. Other than the fact that there's a town hall booked, there's a charity boxing event that's been organised as well, and there's just several people that are getting involved in a charity boxing event in a town hall somewhere. I'm not saying it's any of us that are getting involved in a charity boxing event, and I'm not saying it's any of Swindon that are getting involved in a charity boxing event. But we're looking to get one. We're looking to get one organised. That's all that we can say on the situation.
The only thing I would say is I'm taking the fact that an organisation I work for at 24, I've technically been included in Forbes. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that as a gain in my life. To be fair.
Jamie said, "Why not make it a Royal Rumble over the top rope?" I mean, it's breakdown. We've got the WWE side of things, but yeah, just
somebody might have to lift me up the top rope, but I'll be in there.
We've got a disclaimer going along the bottom. There is no town hall booked. That is a joke. It's a clear joke. Yet.
It's a joke. We have no comments. None at all.
No, not allowed to comment. Cannot comment.
It's a war games.
Yeah, Charlie Austin. If you're wanting to square off, me and Charlie Austin, we'll
also Joe
and go to. No,
I would pay good money to see that. You know.
I think Charlie Austin's picking his own fights at the moment. He doesn't need
I'm going
to
Grant in round
pile
6.
in on us.
But yeah.
Right. It's 9 o'clock. That went quickly, didn't it? Well, it's actually 9:05. But
Dead's out of time already.
yeah.
Wow.
Need to go and
You've
have my
done it.
tea. Yeah.
For once I've had mine in time.
So we'll be back for the 606 on Sunday night at 7 p.m. The podcast, a full range of podcasts on Monday night. Yeah, enjoy your weekend games. Travel safely if you're traveling. Behave yourselves. Do not get into any fights with opposition fans at all. And if you're a Swindon fan and you see me, I'm like, I'll offer free hugs. Like, I come in peace. We'll, yeah, it'll be fine. It's all fine.
Don't forget, if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, if you're on it, go down, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell. You know what to do. Just fucking subscribe. Everyone, we've been Luke Sports Media. Good night.
Bye.